Welcome. Today, in this session, we will be talking about cultivating well-being, exploring the intersection of care services, counseling, and education. It is the foundation and the structure of youth today. But what is youth? Under the United Nations, the definition of a person between the ages of 15 and 24, without prejudice to other definitions by member states. It's a period of transition where they become from childhood to adulthood. That is what a youth is. But what is cultivating well-being? Cultivating well-being is a universal interconnected elements of physical well-being, financial well-being, career well-being, and community well-being. That means that hopefully by the time that youth becomes an adult, they have a accumulation of these elements. So they are able to be resilient, are able to be resourceful, and have the strategies to be who they want to be in this world. However, it is not true. Our youth today is very ill-equipped. They do not have the knowledge or the power to survive. By the time they're 18, they don't even know how to fill up a W-2 form. They go to college, signing their life away with a college loan, which in fact will be with them until who knows. So here in this session, we are going to discuss about those elements because those elements are crucial for our youth because our youth is our future. Our youth is the one that will provide us with stability. And if they're not prepared, we have given them a disservice. It is our fault. It is our responsibility, not theirs. So I have my colleagues here that will discuss that in more detail and share with you examples on how we could provide that structure. That right now our structure is fragmented, ill-equipped, and limited. It was very obvious during the COVID where children were isolated, mental health was lagging, and now they're so behind. So, go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you for that introduction, Lisa. My name is Boomer Rose. I'm a grateful recovering addict, formerly homeless, formerly incarcerated, a survivor of child abuse and domestic violence. And, I used to be one of those ill-equipped youths, right? And now in my life, I really focus on helping youth and transitional age youth understand the gaps that currently aren't taught in our system, right? So that financial education and literacy that Lisa spoke about, accessing resources, coping skills and mental health awareness, all of that is vastly important for our mental health or for our youth and their mental health and to be able to thrive and create a sustainable future. And the work that we're doing now, which isn't good enough, the impact is not going to be felt immediately, but 10 years from now, right? That is when the real impact from this system that we currently have is going to be felt. And looking at the intersection of, care services, education, and counseling, we have so many areas in this world and even here in the United States of America where access to care services and counseling are impossible. You know, there are areas of rural America where individuals have to travel 40 or 50 miles just to go see a doctor, to see a therapist. You know, there is inequity everywhere that we look throughout this country. And even here, as we look outside the windows, you know, here in San Francisco, where we're at live, you know, we see homes that, you know, are selling for multi-millions of dollars. And right outside on the street, we see families that have nothing to eat and are outside in the cold and struggling. And people just walk by them. Where's their care? Where's their counseling? You know, where's the education to all of our communities, no matter where you are at on the socioeconomic level, right? To be able to understand that these individuals matter, you know, that everyone out there that's watching this matters, and we all have that opportunity to be the change, you know. And we're not going to, you know, if my biggest thing that I believe in is all the tireless work that myself, Lisa, Joseph, and everyone that we pretty much know does. You know, we're not meant to feel that change today. We're not meant to feel that change tomorrow, but 10 years from now, like I said earlier, that's when we'll be able to see the fruits of our labor really come. And, you know, there needs to be changes to the system that we have now to fill these gaps that we have. You know, we basically have a fishing net, and those fish are getting out and falling, right? But we need to not just worry about the big fish that we catch. We need to worry about those little shrimps too, and every creature that we have on this planet, and you know, in every city, and know that you know, we can do some change, and we're here to talk about that with some different systems and some different ways that individuals can find, you know, counseling services and care services, and really educate themselves to empower themselves for a better and brighter future. And, you know, with that, I'll turn it over to Joseph.
Thank you. The intersection oftentimes we find is blocked and clogged. Resources are scarce or not available. The other challenge is understanding and that education. And unfortunately, oftentimes, a lot of our communities experience that sidewalk education, whereas you're learning on the streets and learning how to fight and just survive instead of thrive, where your basic needs aren't being met, and you're just trying to struggle to keep things going, moving forward, where you find yourself losing hope and then not seeking or finding those opportunities to be able to progress. By changing our focus in the lens that we look through and stopping and acknowledging where we're at and starting to GPS from there to move forward, we'll be able to start to see real change. But change has to be collective. It has to be us working together for this change. And the biggest change is understanding and education, identifying what resources are needed, where are those resources needed, the types of resources, and how to get those provided for. The other is in counseling and really that mental and social emotional support, developing that sense of community and rebuilding that back again. That, along with exploring and understanding the counseling piece and education, is also that community of care. We have to be collectively working towards that. We are our brother's keepers. We are responsible for them. It's walking together that we're able to move things, be able to identify where those next steps are. When we look at crisis and trauma, oftentimes we get frozen and stuck, not knowing where to step next. Well, by having someone that's already been through that experience, mentor and work with someone, being able to use their lived experience as a stepping stone, as at least a possible way of doing something to move forward. Whether you're looking for mental health support, whether you're looking for chemicals or substance abuse recovery, or even just educational system. It's a network that has to be navigated. And without that guidance, when I try and go somewhere, I GPS it on my phone. Well, I have to know where I want to go so it can reply back how to get there. Using that methodology, using that mentality as a person to support another, we can then start building that movement. With that movement can become a wave. That wave can then really start washing out and really blowing over where there's deserts of services, where you're having resource deserts and food deserts, communities that lack that support. That's where we start to need to build from. Again, using that mentality that if I've been through it, maybe I can show and help somebody else. There's no age limit on that. And then resources and understanding that lived experience is a huge resource. It's a value. And if you've already been able to kind of be there and work through something and sharing your story and sharing it in a positive way. Again, we all have challenges and we all experience things differently. But we are here on this earth together and we walk together. Well, we can keep bumping into each other or start showing the path on how to move each other and help each other move forward. We talked a little bit about financial literacy. Well, there's also that digital literacy and digital citizenship that we also have to be accountable for. With social media and the technology and the advances that we have, there's a lot of resources that we can get if you know how to use it. But unfortunately, if you don't have a device, if you don't have internet, there's communities and communities that don't have those resources to be able to use, to get that information. There's schools that still don't have resources because of the community where they're in, they're not supported. Again, that collective, we have to work together to be able to get that. Yeah.
Well, let me emphasize on that. Cultivating the intersecting of youth. They both brought two dynamic intersecting philosophies, which I will compromise with saying a youth is a culmination of all bits and pieces, not just a person, but what that person brings to the table, the religion, how they were brought, their trauma, their environment, their community, and so forth. And to do justice to that youth, you have to bring all those elements together. And to bring those elements together, you as an adult are responsible to be flexible and knowing and be educated. As a doctor providing care to his or her patient, he's not going to provide medication if he does not know the symptoms. We already know the symptoms. We've seen the symptoms, like Boomer said. We see the homeless out there. We see families struggling. We have to dive even deeper than that and ask the whys and how comes. We have to put ourselves in their shoes and see, in fact, how we could provide support and care. It could be a simple education piece or component, something that they're able to access freely. Like Joseph once said, there is social media. Majority of all children have some type of social media access, but out there is a lot of misinformation. How can they understand what is a true and what is not? We ourselves know when we go through the internet to go to certain sites, you give it to a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, do they really understand the difference? You educate them so they know what they need to decipher, what is per se trash and what is misinformation and what is something that is perceived useful. Also, you need to establish strong connections with that youth, not only with the community, but to individual, so they can feel safe, welcome, and supported. They do not feel that they're at risk of failure. You want them to fail, because in our society, when we fail, we try again. And if they feel that they are supported in their failures, they will try and try and try until they succeed. You want to give them the ability to manage the discomfort. Life is hard. The road is hard. Nothing's easy. But if you help them manage the discomfort, the uneasiness, their anxiety, oh my goodness, I gotta try this over, the depressed mood, that it's okay. We all feel it. It's normal. for them to have resilience and to press on when things get tough. And that it matters to keep going because they are important. How many times you see a child fail and not try? Have you ever asked that child, why? How can I help you? What do you need? Can I hold your hand and let's try again? Or do you sit on the sidelines and say, maybe next time, let's get someone else to do it for you? That doesn't help him a bit because that situation is going to come again and he will not have the tools to persevere. We have to have an open mind and flexibility. Our youth are very, very different. Our youth from 10 years ago are not the youth of today. Social media technologies are ever changing. So what we have established 10 years ago might be obsolete for the youth today. Re-examine your culture, your structure, your community, your services on a daily basis if necessary. Figure out if it's conducive to your goals. And ask them, the youth, what are their goals? Do they go and do they actually are in conjunction to your goals? It may not fit, but it's your responsibility as an adult, as a community, as a structure, as an organization, to help them find that connection so they could be well established and find that support.
One of the greatest challenges I see within youth today is that fear of failure. Because of that fear of failure, that they think, well, I may not be able to survive this. How do I recover from this? When their images that they use on social media and they see and they're bombarded with is someone doing this incredible feat, skateboarding down this 14 flights of stairs, landing it and rolling it away, looking a certain way, with the makeup just perfect, everything is well done. How are they supposed to compare? If I try, what's going to happen if I fail? And then what's going to happen to me? That fear of failure stops so many. It's safer not to raise your hand. Safer not to ask questions. I don't want to be thought of that I don't have the answer, or I don't know what's going on, or I don't know what to do. That prevents them from being open and being able to receive that one piece that we're talking about, that educational piece. Education, we should be all lifelong learners. Life teaches us so many things if we have our eyes open. Boomers mentioned in the past that just walking down the street, you can see so much if you just have your eyes open and allow yourself to see it. And youth today fear not being seen. It's easier to be invisible because then there's no judgment or expectation. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to prove myself. Because if I tried and failed, then what am I? And like Lisa said, failure is part of the process. It's being able to stand up again, like riding a bicycle. If you get on a bicycle for the first time and you crash, well, you get on and you learn not to crash because it hurts. But that growth, that pain is part of that growth. And it's understanding that it's okay, I can survive. It hurt, but I can still go on. I can still do it. And with technology and with everything in the palm of their hand, they just have and they can see it. But it's that understanding their processing that they're missing. And that educational piece. And that's where they need that guidance. Really, that support. It is structure, but that structure allows them to know that they won't fall off the end of the cliff, that they can be okay. It's okay to fall down. And let's help them back up. Help them move forward. Part of that also goes with that social emotional piece and wanting to be loved and wanting to be seen and wanting to be acknowledged. Well, if we don't start acknowledging them and recognizing them, letting them know that we see them, that they matter, well, then they're going to try and find it in some other way. Statistically, we know that if a youth, even as early as age 4, has somebody that they feel sees them, that cares about them, whether it's a coach, a parent, a minister, it's somebody that they value, that they feel they see them, they have a fighting chance because they know that they matter to somebody. And it's important to share that. And sometimes as parents, it's hard to share that. I grew up, I'm one of 12 kids, and I didn't get that from my parents. I knew I was loved, but I didn't necessarily get that. I got it through being taken care of and being supported. But I didn't know if I mattered until I had somebody that said, I see you. Then I wanted to try and prove that they could keep seeing me and keep doing positive things and making a difference, to keep being seen instead of going the other way and just being lost in the crowd and trying to self-medicate and just disappear. For a long time, I did feel invisible. I didn't really even speak. One, I didn't think I had anything that people even would care to hear, let alone hear from me. But everyone matters. Everyone matters. You matter. No matter where you're at, you matter. You're on this earth, you matter. You're part of this earth. And that's that other piece, is that community. Besides the education and the counseling, it's care services. We are the care services. We're there to help, so when somebody's down, to help them up, to walk with them, find out what they want. They have a right to free agency. They have a right to self-determination. They also have a right to hope and to be loved and to be cared for. And by showing that and by listening, you show them that they matter. You show them that you care. Listening is the most powerful tool you could do, because you're giving your time and you're giving part of you. And you get to learn a piece of them and a little bit of them. And that helps them grow, because then you can maybe gain a little understanding of where they're at and what they're going through, to possibly offer suggestions. We don't really know what's going on in the other person, but providing somebody that may have some similar experience that they've gone through, that they can maybe talk to so that they know they're not alone, that gives them hope. That gives them a chance. We are losing too many youth today. We are losing too many youth because they feel alone. They don't know they matter. They don't feel it. It's our job to make sure that they do, because they do. They are our future. This world depends on them. We're in it now, but like Boomer said, 10 years from now, where are we going to be? 20 years. We need to make sure that they have that opportunity to learn and grow and be educated, to be counseled. Everybody has their own stuff, their own luggage, their baggage, their trauma, their wounds. That's part of living. But we can help them navigate through that and understand it and grow from it and learn from it. Sometimes negative things happen, some bad stuff happens. And it's not their fault. But they shouldn't have to carry it alone and carry it for life. We can help walk with them and help them understand, and then turn that into a strength, because then they can maybe help somebody else. Our experiences do give us an opportunity to be a strength when we teach and share and give to others and love others. Boomer is a living example of that. He gives and loves so much. Everybody he meets, he listens to and he wants to hear their story. He wants to know what's going on. When he asks, how you doing? He actually wants to know, how you doing? He shows he cares by being there, by listening.
Thank you for that, Joseph. And just sitting here listening to you and Lisa and what you guys were talking about, and I kept thinking about numbers, and the intersectionality between care services, counseling, and education. And I think that a lot of our youth don't feel like they're seen or heard because they're in systems that place numbers on them, right? Whether it's in the educational experience where you're validated based on your grades or what you score on your state tests. You have a student ID number. When you go to a counselor, you go through assessments and you're given scores, right? And then that's how they're going to refer you to services or the way that they're going to manage your care. And then even, if you do have a diagnosis, there's a number that goes with, your billing number in the diagnosis you have, thanks to that DSM, whatever we're on now, 5, 6. But, and then when it comes to care services, right, where we're talking about community, and that's where those care services come in. But as much of a purpose as our care services have, they're also greatly funded by grants where they have to meet certain metrics. So when you come in and you receive services, you are another number that they have to report in their data filing to receive their funding. So I think that our youth are losing their sense of identity because they are given a number. But we're more than just numbers. We are individuals that all have different needs and different strengths, as Joseph said. And I think Lisa and Joseph, you both talked about social media. We validated ourselves now based off of the number of likes and shares that we get on Instagram or Facebook, or how many views we get on TikTok. But those are, likes and views that are coming from people that don't even know you, and that's where we look to validate ourselves on. And there's children and youth out there that are ending their lives because of things that happen on social media and cyberbullying and not getting the likes and shares or engagements that they think that they need to feel worthy. And as Joseph said, you are worthy. And I think that this is the place where the greatest care service and the greatest resource that we have is our community, and it is our peers. And, where we lean on our community and our peers, and we get off of our social media and living behind our phones, and we get out there and we listen to other individuals, and we share our true, authentic selves to these individuals and start building that community that it seems like is lost. We live in a world where it's torn right now. No matter where you live, no matter where you're tuning in from, there are vast differences and inequities that are surrounding all of us. But we can all find a common ground to move forward on, and that is the belief that humanity can do better and can love each other. And if we spread love throughout the world and hope and advocate for others that are struggling, then this world will eventually become a better place, and we can educate ourselves through our community and through our peers and the information and the skills and everything that we don't get from our current education system. You can get from the individuals that you surround yourselves with. I know for myself, when I graduated high school, I didn't know how to manage a bank account. I didn't know what positive coping skills were. I didn't know how to wash clothes. I didn't know how to care for myself. I didn't know how to cook healthy food and eat nutritious. And then I moved to California and started living in different areas. And I saw for the first time in my life what food deserts were, and how care services were there, but they weren't really the care services that were needed. And just how much of a detrimental impact that can have, not just on the individual, but the entire community that they surround themselves with. So, if we all want to better our community, and I think that's what a lot of nonprofits are out there to do. But if you focus on the individual and then this individual, and you keep focusing on individuals, eventually the community will get better because that knowledge and those skills will transfer, and that community engagement will come. And then from the peers and the community that they surround themselves with to access these resources, the lack of care services that are available, or the lack of qualified counselors that are there to assist their clients, well, the need for that will be lessened because they have the community that's there to empower them. And I think that's the biggest resource we have on this earth, is us as individuals and our community, and understanding that we can learn something from every individual that we meet. And I think it was you, Lisa, that said we're all pieces, we're all pieces. And if you've ever put together a puzzle, and it's like 1,000-piece puzzle, and you lose one piece, you can't complete that puzzle. And I think a lot of us are missing pieces. I know for a long time, I don't even know if I had puzzle pieces in my box, but eventually I was able to find those through community and through individuals. And I think, Joseph, thank you for saying that I'm an example of some of these things, but I've never been to a counselor. I take counseling classes, if that counts, but I've never been to a counselor, and I received some community services, and I've gone through education, but really the ability for myself to be able to sit here, alongside brilliant minds and to share with the world, is that I learned from my community and individuals that I met. And that's where we have the opportunity to change and to grow, and have that growth mindset and openness and willingness and eager to learn, and not believe in the misinformation, and not believe that, whatever happens on social media is the truth or how we validate ourselves, but to validate ourselves with love, with compassion, and with empathy with another human being. And I think there's more that I wanted to say based off the points you guys have, but you guys said so much good stuff. So I'll pass it off to one of you.
And so this road that we are on is not an easy road. I'm not saying that these nonprofits or profits or any community services that we provide for our youth is not doing their job. I'm just asking to reevaluate your services, to see if your targets and your goals are the targets of the youth you're providing service to. Ask them. Instead of doing an assessment, ask them. Let them ask you why they're there. You might get a surprising response. Maybe they'll tell you because my mom sent me here and I don't want to be here. That's legitimate. Okay, we'll work on that. Ask them what their goals are. You might be surprised because I think I have a disease that I can't be cured. And you could provide them with education at the moment, because that's all we really have at the moment, to be present. I can't change the past, and I can't foretell the future, but I have you here at the moment. I'm here for you at the present moment. And with that present moment, I could do so much together. It's not you and me, or him and I, or they and I. It's a collaboration of a set goals to go forward. If my youth or if the other person has a different set of goals and I have a separate different goals, we're going in different directions and we are going to fail. And if this person is in the service he's gonna take that like he has failed himself. And that's so when you bring up and providing a service, think of the goals of what he has in mind. Ask that person, what are your goals? What do you have in mind? What is your intention? Are you committed? Are you motivated? Maybe it's not that time. There's many people that are forced to go to these organizations because of probation and so forth, and they are required to do that. Well, this is the time to be present. This is the time to tell them, I know you don't like being here, but let's work together to find a medium. You want to get out and graduate? So do I. We have the same goal. How can we make this happen? You want it short term or you want it long term? It is really up to you and me to help you along this journey. As you can see, it's not him or me, but it's a collaboration again. Because if they feel vested, they're going to try. And if it's something you're spoon feeding them, they have not learned, they have not built resilience, and they have not anything. It's a waste of time. And they'll come back with the same issue and the same problem. And you're doing it over again. I personally, as a social worker, want to help our patient because of the fact that I want him to be self-reliant and independent from me. And if he wants my help, I want him to know how to ask for it. That is my job. When I sit next to my patient or my client, I tell him exactly what I'm capable of doing. I say boundaries. I'm not God. I'm just another human being, but here to help you. Let's work together. And if we fail, we know there is other options and opportunities. And let's look at those if this one doesn't work. It's a work in progress. Life is a work in progress. Today, I woke up this morning. I figured out what to wear. I changed my clothes twice. I put my shoes and didn't like them, but I had options. You want to give the youth options and the flexibility so they could choose what they feel comfortable with. I'm wearing the clothes that I'm wearing because I feel comfortable in them. And I'm able to be present. They do not itch, and I'm able to walk around and be comfortable. That's what youth needs today, to feel comfortable in their skin. And that's what we could provide them, to be present and to be helpful and to be comfortable in their own skin. Whatever they bring. They have purple hair. They like purple hair. It's okay. Whatever they have, you welcome it, if it's safe and positive.
We want to make sure that we're always empowering youth to make positive choices so that they have informed decisions. They clearly understand outcomes. And for a lot of youth, it's normal to make an impulsive response and an impulsive decision, not necessarily thinking out what could be the outcome of that choice. Some choices you don't get to recover from. We want to make sure that kids are able to stop and think, okay, here's what I'm trying to do. What do I want to accomplish? What are my goals? Is this helping me or going to hurt me? Is this going to move me towards my goal or is it going to set me back further? That mentality, that way of thinking starts from when they're young. It's not impossible to adopt that as you get older. But if you start when they're younger, those soft skills, they're able to start to develop and build. Those habits, being on time, able to follow directions, able to listen, able to communicate, able to be responsible for themselves. Whether it's 2 picking up their toys, whether it's 15 taking out the trash, cleaning the room, doing the things they're supposed to do, whatever. That's that soft skill that they're going to need later in life, especially when they start moving towards employment and careers. Those soft skills help establish them. That's what every employer is looking for. They'll teach them what they want them to do, but they need to know that they're able to show up on time, be honest and genuine, and be responsible. Be able to communicate their needs or what they need to be able to be successful. They may not know it, but they can at least communicate that they need that assistance and be able to ask for help. Those things are what are the hardest to develop, because unless you're modeled that and shown that, or being able to have exposure to that, you don't know it exists. It's not an expectation. It's not something that's just built. It's modeled and exercised. And then with that, looking at support and services, being able to be okay to say, I need help. Right now, we also have an epidemic of challenges for youth with mental health challenges, whether it's anxiety and coping with stress and stress management. Being able to say, yes, I need help, that I have this going on right now. That it's not a negative stigma. It's not just something to be embarrassed about. That it's okay to need help. It's okay to say you're hurt. You know, if you break your leg, you go to a doctor or someone that can help reset it and fix it, and put it in a cast. You're not expected to just try and walk it off. If you're hurt, you should get help. And that counseling or therapy, or even having someone that listens to you that can offer appropriate and supportive suggestions and guidance. There's different forms of therapy. But there's some that would require or should be addressed by a professional that has that understanding and experience to make sure that they're not giving misinformation, like Lisa said. You know, just Googling something online doesn't give you the whole picture and the whole answer. You know, it's a key, but it may not open the lock that they're struggling with.
No, I mean, and, you know, I was just thinking, you know, Googling, right? How many of us have ever gone on WebMD and typed in symptoms that we have, and then we think we have the worst disease that we can find on there, you know? And that's that rabbit hole, you know? And then we start thinking about it all the time. And instead of just showing up and getting the help that we need, we try and, like, you know, self-diagnose or do things ourselves. And, you know, I'm glad you mentioned stigma, Joseph, because I was thinking that, you know, before you even mentioned it. And, you know, we live in a world that is surrounded by stigma throughout our communities, throughout social media, you know, throughout different, you know, diagnoses or illnesses or labels that we have on ourselves. There's so many stigmas out there in this world, but, you know, stigmas are really created from the opportunities or that we're given or the lack thereof, you know, and then we're placed into these situations like, you know, myself, I have the stigma of a convicted felon. I have the stigma of, you know, being in recovery. And I'm here to say, so what? You know, and we mentioned just showing up, you know, and that's 90% of the pathway to being successful is just learning to show up. And you know, if you fail, like Lisa was talking about, we fail forward and then we get back up. You know, life is full of ups and downs, you know, but we have the ability to find positives in all of these downs that we may face and turn those through strengths and into amazing positives. And you know, we can climb these mountains, and the baggage that we have, we're not meant to carry it. We're meant to climb it and overcome it and learn from it. And, you know, I know, you know, when looking at education, you know, specifically, and I mentioned earlier that, you know, we feel like we're a number in the system, and in the system we are. But let's remember that, you know, there's amazing teachers out there that do see you and do see our youth and are willing to cultivate our youth and listen to them and understand. And, you know, I'm new to the parenting world, even though my son's 9, right? I've only had him for almost a year, which is crazy to think about. But, you know, he was going through an issue at school and being bullied. So I set up a meeting with his teachers and just meeting with them and and understanding how much they saw him and knew what was going on, gave me hope for his scenario, and then the other children that go to his school, because they understand the differences in my son compared to the other students, and what they need, and they were already on it. So I didn't even feel like I needed to set up that meeting, and that's happening throughout our country and throughout the world. So while we think that we might need to go to a therapist or a counselor, or for support and help, there are individuals other than our peers, like our teachers, right? And other first responders or community workers that are there to help and there to listen. So we have an abundance of resources if we utilize them correctly, and that starts with our community, like we talked about earlier. And I think that, it's about showing up, like I stated earlier. If we just show up, but most importantly, we show up for ourselves every day. No matter what you went through last night, no matter what you're going through right now, just remember that tomorrow's a new day and a new opportunity to learn and to grow and to move forward from whatever we're struggling with today. And we all struggle, right? Everyone struggles, with belief in themselves or environmental issues and financial issues. But we can overcome all of this if we just keep showing up
And trying.
I always say, if I say I'm going to try something, I never do it. So I always say, let's do something, because if I
True.
say I'm going to do something, I always do it. But if I say I'm going to try, you can probably put $100 on the fact that I'm not going to do it.
But I'm here and I'll push him.
Yep.
I'll keep him accountable to the point before this talk. I already told him what I was going to do to him because he told me something and I was interested in that topic. And I told him exactly what I was going to do if he didn't help me to understand. And he goes, oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what peers are for, right? And
Yeah.
friends. And I think our friends are biggest support, and they're there to push you and guide you and suggest. And I think all three of us sitting up here are huge believers in peer support, and the power of peer support. And data and studies show that peer support is just as beneficial, if not more beneficial, than actually going to, a licensed therapist, because these individuals have walked through the similar circumstances that the individual seeking help has, and they know how to navigate the resources and navigate the barriers and allow a comfort for communication and sharing. And I think that that's just something that can help with the intersection of anything, or just the intersection of individuals in our communities, in our world, in our families, is communication. Honest communication.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk enough.
No.
And
We don't share enough.
We don't share enough. We don't listen.
Yeah. So at the end, be present, give a helping hand. Doesn't take much. There's no money involved. Be safe. Ask questions
And listen.
and listen.
And listen. Yeah. And when you listen, give a valid response, and
Don't discount.
don't discount. And we're here to listen to all of you that are watching, so feel free to put anything in the chat. We're here. And there was a time where I didn't believe that individuals wanted to listen to me, and now I am surrounded by individuals that listen, and it's an empowering feeling. Self-worth, and I encourage all of you, to continue showing up and to know that you're not alone, and to reach out for help with whoever that may be if you are struggling. And it can be the smallest struggle, that there is. If you need help learning how to turn on a computer, right? Asking for help, that can be a great feeling, and then that'll ease the ability to ask for help more often. The first time I really learned to ask for help was to get clean and sober. Because before I thought I could tackle everything on my own, or I hid it and didn't want people to know just how bad I was, or, that I was homeless and eating out of, dumpsters and sleeping outside and all of these different things. I figured out a way to hide all that. But then when I finally asked for help and I received it from somebody that listened and understood, now I know how to ask for help for the smallest things. And I surround myself with communities and individuals and put myself in environments that are there to respond if I do need help. And, if you're not feeling like you're in an environment or a community where you're able to receive the help that you're looking for, or feel comfortable enough to ask, just know that moment will pass, and eventually you will be with a community that is there to support you. If there's anything about this life, like Elisa was talking about, life's about process. It's about a journey. And we have these moments that are built within it, or epochs, right? And we can move from one to the next. And while this moment might not be the moment that you were hoping for, don't give up before the miracle happens and you reach that next moment. And our community and individuals are there to guide you, right? We all live in massive communities, or even rural communities where, there might only be 400 people in a town or 300 people in a town. I can guarantee you that at least one of those individuals has the wisdom to show you and guide you to where you want to be. But you have to ask for help. You have to advocate for yourself. And the opportunity is there.
Hopefully this has been a supportive session for you. Please do not hesitate to give us a call or chat with us. We are available.
Remember, we're not human doings, we're human beings. Don't just do. Be. Be all you can be. Thank you.
Thank you.